Kylo wants me to help him escape. Leia simply raises her eyebrows as she studies your face. You're back in the command center, although it is far less busy now that Kylo Ren had been captured and Hux was still cornered on some planet in the western reaches. Apparently, it was only a matter of time until he ran out of supplies, and Leia was in no hurry to waste resources trying to bring him in by force. You had no idea why she wanted to capture him alive, but that wasn't really any of your concern. You certainly preferred Hux dead, but if she had a specific form of torture in mind for him, you wouldn't be opposed to it. Well, since you're telling me, I don't think you're going to go through with it, she says, but you can tell by her expression that she's waiting for you to confirm her assertion. I'm not, you tell her with a small laugh. Did he ask you? She asks. Did he try to manipulate you in some way, or... He asked me, you tell her. Directly. She purses her lips and looks to the side for a moment as if she's trying to figure out what that means. Do you think he's getting desperate? You tilt your head to one side. Desperate? She lets out a sigh and you can feel a chill brush past the nape of your neck. Why would he be desperate? What's going to happen to him? I don't think you've said. Right now, he has a connection to Snoke, Leia explains, and we can exploit that connection to find out where Snoke is, but if they're unable to defeat him and he moves, they're going to need to come back here so they can trace Ren's connection to him again. But once Snoke is taken out, you ask hesitantly, what then? Then, Leia says with a sigh, then Luke is going to siphon off his power so he's not a threat to anyone anymore, and when the Republic is ready, they will have a trial for him and determine whether he will be imprisoned or, you know. You do know. She doesn't have to finish that thought, but that's not the thing that horrifies you the most. She catches on to the look on your face and suddenly the realization dawns on her. I'm sorry. I should have told you sooner. So, if Luke siphons his Force power, then we're not going to be connected through the Force anymore, are we? You ask. The Force bond will be destroyed? Leia nods her head and gives you a moment to process this new piece of information. Was that why Kylo had been so quick to pleasure you when you saw him? Was that why he seemed so insistent on you making a decision about whether you would still be with him or not? Did he want to know where your feelings stood before the Force bond was removed? I'm sorry, she repeats. I really should have told you sooner, but with everything... Does this mean I won't be in love with him anymore? You ask quietly, more to yourself than to her. Regardless, she heard it anyway. Leia sighs and shakes her head as if this is not a question she really wants to answer. If you were in love with him before the bond was in place, then you'll probably still be in love after. I can't tell you your feelings will be as strong, but I don't know. And then, when you don't look any better about it, she adds, the Force bond wouldn't have developed if he didn't care about you, and it wouldn't be this strong if you didn't care about him in return. I'm sorry, you say quickly as you brush your hair out of your face. I'm sorry, I know I need to deal with this. It's all just really complicated at the moment. She tilts her head to the side as she looks at you. Because of Poe? You blanch, and she raises her eyebrows expectantly, like she's waiting for an answer. That might be part of it, you admit reluctantly, as she nods her head as if she's figured as much. I'm going to tell you something you already know, she says. Right now, you might feel drawn to him because of the Force bond, and it's strong now, but that isn't going to last, and even if it does, there's no way you two can have a future together. It's just not going to happen. She waits for your reaction, and you just solemnly nod your head. You two can love each other, she continues. That's fine. You can't help who you're in love with, but you can't afford to be romantic. You have a child to think about, and he's never going to have a real relationship with his father. I know you want him to have one, but that doesn't mean you should keep living in the past and holding on to what could have been. Yeah, you say quietly. This isn't exactly new information, but it still hurts to hear it out loud, especially from a clearly objective perspective. He was your first real love, wasn't he? Leia asks, and you just bite your lip and nod your head slowly, trying to keep the tears from flowing. I know how intense that can seem, but your first love doesn't have to be your last. I know it probably feels right when you're with him, like the whole world suddenly just clicks into place, but that feeling won't last forever. He's going to eventually be sent off to the Republic to answer for what he did, and you're going to stay here, with Annie. She smiles softly. And whoever else you want to stay here with. You just nod your head up and down. Kylo was her son, so that was one thing, but you were in no way going to talk to her about your feelings for Poe. That was something you still didn't quite understand yourself, and so you weren't going to say anything until you had figured everything out. Besides, how were you really supposed to approach that discussion anyway? You had first been involved with her son, had a child with him, and then you had fallen in with the commander of her aerial squadron. The situation was complicated enough, and besides, you didn't want to give her the chance to potentially feed you that age-old platitude. Maybe it was just better if you were with nobody for a while. You had been with nobody for the past 5 years waiting for Kylo to return, and you missed having that human connection. You missed snuggling up to someone at night. You missed the kisses and the hugs and the impractical concern over your well-being. That was something you had already figured out for yourself, but you didn't have any need to explain that to her. By the way, you say, trying to derail the topic of conversation off of your love life, I caught Annie talking to someone this morning. Leia's eyes widen as she waits for you to continue. He said he was talking to an old man named Ben. Ring any bells? Leia's jaw drops in shock, and you give her a few moments to recover. He's talking to Ben? She asks, as if she can't believe it herself. That's what he said, you tell her. Have you ever met him? No, Leia says, shaking her head. He was killed by Darth Vader when Luke and Han came to rescue me. You don't bother asking her from what? That was so far in the past you could hardly see how it mattered now, especially when Han was dead. That was a memory you weren't sure if she wanted to relive. I know Luke saw him several times over the years during the course of his training. Even though he was dead? You ask suspiciously, and Leia nods her head. How is that even possible? Luke can explain it better than I can, Leia sighs, but their collective consciousness is preserved in the Force in some way. But how would Annie even know who he is, you ask? If you've never even met him, I know Annie definitely hasn't. Luke went by to see him after you left, she explains. I don't know what they talked about. I wasn't there, but he was trying to determine how much of the Force Annie had to see if he was worth training. And, you ask cautiously, did he decide to train him? I don't know, she says, shaking her head. He said he had a lot to think about. You have to understand, he went into seclusion for years, and after what Ben did... You don't have to explain, you say quickly. You could clearly see why Luke would have reservations about training Kylo Ren's son after all of the trouble that Kylo himself had caused. All I want to know is why my son started having visions of dead people after your brother went to visit him. To provide guidance, Leia offers. I'm sorry I can't provide more answers, but Luke probably can, when he returns. You bite your lip as you start to turn away, but Leia isn't done yet. What did he say, exactly? He said he wanted to see him, you explain. I don't know who he is, though. At first I thought he was talking about Kylo, but he also mentioned his great-grandfather. A haunted look crosses over Leia's face, and you drop your eyes to the floor. He's talking about Anakin, right? Kylo's grandfather, your father, the person he was named for? Leia just shakes her head like this is too much for her, and you have to agree with her on that sentiment. You had enough to worry about in the here and now, without drawing ghosts from the past into your everyday affairs. How were you supposed to protect your son from something that you couldn't even see, let alone control? If Annie's dreams are spilling out into real life, how were you supposed to stop him from dreaming? Force him to stop sleeping? You knew that wouldn't work. I don't know, Leia admits. Luke has never told me he's seen him, but I guess it is possible. But do I have anything to fear from him, you ask? I mean, you said he was a Sith Lord. He sacrificed his life to save Luke, she explains. At the very end, I think he came back to the light, even after everything he had done. Your brow furrows as you listen, really listen to what she's saying. That's why you have hope Ben will come back, you say softly, because he idolized him so much, and at the very end, despite everything he had done in his past, he still came back to the light. Han used to say he had too much Vader in him, Leia says with a soft chuckle, but I don't know. Ben is his own person. I don't know, you say softly as you rub your temple with the heel of your palm. Right now, I can't worry about him. I have to worry about Annie. Leia offers you a sympathetic smile. What do I do about the ghosts he's seeing? Should I try to train him in the Force? Try to help him put up a mental wall? No, Leia says firmly. No, if he's seeing them, it's for a reason, especially Ben Kenobi. He was an exceptional Jedi. He would not let Annie come to any harm. I hope not, you say with a sigh as you brush your hair over your left shoulder. Look, I was thinking about bringing him to see Kylo today. He really wants to see Annie. Annie really wants to see him, so I don't feel like it's my place to really keep them apart. Then don't, Leia replies simply. He should meet his father, at least once. You drop your eyes when you realize that, considering her father was a Sith Lord, she probably didn't have much of a relationship with him either. At least she could relate to Annie in that way. Eventually, he was going to need to talk to someone about why his father hadn't been there for him growing up, why he wouldn't be ever again. Sure, you could always fill the father figure role with Ladson or Poe or someone else, but it was never going to make up for the fact that he wasn't his father. Kylo had chosen the First Order over you and your son, and considering how that was something you were still trying to deal with, you had no idea how Annie would process it. At least Annie hadn't really known him before. Any memories he had of Kylo were vague childhood impressions and nothing more. A part of you wanted to keep it that way, but you knew he would just keep searching for answers about his father if you withheld them from him, much like you had done. No, it was better for him to just meet Kylo and get this whole thing over with, and you could deal with the aftermath from there. I'll bring him by today, you tell her. I'll see how Annie feels about it, and if he still wants to go, then I'll bring him by today, if you want to stop by. You force a smile to your face. Have a little family gathering. At least once. I have some things to do here, Leia says, but I'll try to make it down there. You don't need to wait up for me. Okay, you tell her. Then, wish us luck. You turn around awkwardly and she just lets out a brief snort of laughter from behind you. In truth, you didn't really need to ask for luck. People who were strong in the Force were already naturally predisposed to be lucky, and if you put 4 Force-sensitive people in a room together, there would probably be a conglomeration of luck, unless some of the parties there had opposing interests, in which case, would everybody's luck cancel each other's out, or would... Before you have time to react, Poe swoops in and... wrong paragraph. You turn a corner sharply and almost crash straight into Poe. You eye him up and down, your previous thoughts about how Force-sensitive people were naturally lucky quickly slipping from your mind. You're about to take Annie to see Kylo. Wouldn't you running into him right at this moment be considered unlucky? Before you have time to react, Poe swoops in and places a quick peck against your lips, and you blink and let it happen. He pulls away just as quickly, chuckling at your reddening face. Something wrong? No, you say quickly, although there's a pressure on your chest that makes it difficult to talk. I just didn't realize we were on the kiss upon greeting stage, I guess. Poe looks down, quite clearly embarrassed. Sorry, we don't... You can't risk things getting awkward with Poe. You just can't. And so you quickly reach up and put your hands on either side of his face as you pull him in for a long, lingering kiss. It's fine, you assure him breathlessly as you pull away, and he just cracks his signature grin. So, are you all healed up? You ask quickly, hoping that any aftertaste of Kylo had since worn off. All healed up, Poe confirms, and you intertwine your fingers with his as you walk through the hallway together. I was just about to stop by your place to check on how you and Annie were doing. I was just about to head that way myself, you tell him. You bite your lip and look away, not sure how much to tell him. Did he really need to know that Annie was talking to Luke's old Jedi Master? Or Leia's father? Would he think you were nuts if you told him, or did he believe that the Force was capable of that too? You know that he already knew that Annie was talking to someone, but you decide it's better just to not say anything until he asks. Although... I was going to see if Annie wants to meet his father, you blurt out suddenly, and Poe raises an eyebrow as he turns to you. Yeah? He asks. Does he want to? They both want to see each other, you say with a sigh, so I don't think I can really keep them apart. Even Leia thinks they should meet at least once, so I guess this is happening. Do you want me there? Poe asks, but you can't help but laugh as you shake your head. You really think that Kylo Ren is going to attack his own son? You ask incredulously. I mean, I know what he's done, but he's not going to hurt him. Especially not with me there. He knows I'd kill him. I meant for moral support, Poe offers, giving your hand a firm squeeze of reassurance. Oh, you say softly. Yeah, maybe, yeah, that would be nice. Poe just gives your hand another reassuring squeeze as you walk down the corridor, but you can't help but quell the sense of panic rising in your chest. You didn't want to tell him no. You didn't want him to question what you had done with Kylo during your other brief visits with him, but at the same time, you didn't want Poe there during the first time Annie went to meet his father. It just didn't feel right. Hopefully, the Force really was with you, because you could use a little luck right now.